Hey y'all. It's so good to have you on the live stream this evening. Sorry I was not watching as closely as I should have been. So good to have you joining me again for now what is the 126th episode of the Paint Party live stream. It's so good to have you back in the studio with me. All right. And all my cameras are working again, so we are good to go. If you have been here before, you know how this game is played. You can participate in the conversation on the live stream wherever you're joining us from. So whatever platform you're on, you can participate in the live stream through the comments on whatever platform you're on. I do enjoy interacting with you during the live stream, so feel free to comment, make suggestions, ask questions. Not sure that I'll be able to answer them all because this is a brand new endeavor, sort of. Over the last few years, I have been working in acrylic paints, and in the last couple of weeks since the beginning of the year, I have launched into oil paints. So things are different a little bit in the technique and process, but I try to explain that as I go. But yeah, super excited to have you back on the live stream this evening. All right, we are going to jump right in. I was actually conditioning my palette, but I lost track of time. So that's why I was scraping the palette when you all joined. There's a few more people joining the room, so glad to have you. As always, you can participate in the conversation via the comments wherever you're watching on this evening. So glad to have you. All right, let's jump over. I'm going to put my palette up here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. How did I don't want split screen. What do I want? Let's not do split screen. Let's do... Nope. Ugh, why is this messing with me? Good grief. Okay. I want it picture in picture. Overlays, let's see. So crazy. Whoops. Nope. Hi there, Mom and Dad. So glad to have you. Well, I don't know what is going on. Clearly, I don't know my... Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's put this over here. There, you can see my palette now. Last week, we had a problem with this because we kind of lost one of our camera angles. So, but here you can see last week I had described this little device where I have all of my paints from white and then my cooler colors all the way to the warmer colors. And that allows me to, because they are oils, I can put this in the freezer in between painting sessions, and it keeps them from drying out as fast. So it's kind of a nice difference than I had with acrylics. I am just scraping off this dry paint, as you can see, to prepare for the next, so that I can do the next, mix more paint. So if you'll bear with me here, we will do this. You get to see some of the typically I try to, normally when I was doing acrylics, I would clean my palettes right after I painted, but with oil, unless I want to use thinner or solvent or something to remove it right away, I have to wait till it dries enough. Usually that's overnight to scrape off with a razor. So you get to see kind of the process, and you get to see the paint of the kind of the palette of paint I was working with on the paints that I use. Sorry, it's probably shaking on your screen, making you ill. Not my intention. I just want to get this. In the future, I'll try to have this done ahead of time. Had a meeting going right before this, so didn't get to prepare as much as I'd wanted. I wanted to make sure my cameras were all working. And all right, I think we are good. I have been, those of you that are just joining us, welcome again. You can participate in the comments wherever you are watching. But I have been conducting a paint surplus, studio surplus sale, basically. I have all these paintings on the walls around me that have been piling up for 3 years. So I'm trying to rehome some of those. So those of you that purchased, I appreciate that. Excuse me. But what it has allowed me to do, I think I've sold 4, 5 or 6 so far, which is really great because these were all not part of a collection. They were just the hodgepodge of paintings that I had done over the last few years, mostly to teach myself some necessary skills, but I sold several of those paintings, and what it's allowed me to do is allowed me to enroll in a class on composition, which is one of the areas that I want to improve my skills and as I go into this next year. So that has completely or almost completely paid for that class. So I'm really grateful because I'm allowing the art to kind of pay for itself. And then today I was chatting with an acquaintance, a business colleague in Central Arkansas, and landed a commission based on one of the paintings that was in my sale. So that is all up on my website at stevenerice.com. You can check that out. You're already switched here, so while we're chatting about that, or not chatting about it, let me switch this over so that you can see my what in the world? Camera is not disabled. Thank you. I'm gonna lose my mind if this thing starts acting up on me. Okay, there we go. I think we're good. Now, I am, hey Olan, we are just getting started with a new painting tonight. So, I want to get this all set, but I want to show you what I've been working on, you all. Many of you have seen, this was a study for, a study for one of the paintings that I want to do for the collection of Black Hills photos. So I'd like to do a larger vertical version of this that's like a taller version, to really emphasize the path and but I've been working on this. I went in and put a lot more shape in these trees. Yesterday I kind of toned down the shadows and the highlights on the path until you get up in there. I'm going to do a little more work on this, but it's been a really good one to work on, and has taught me a lot. This one I keep working on from the excuse me, from Spearfish canyon where I live. It's not quite where I want it. I don't think it's still the right balance of lights to darks, but I'm altering it from the significantly from the reference photo. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going. So, or I'm not exactly sure how it will end up, but we're going to keep working on that because it will teach me no matter what along the way. So let me switch you over, but let me first show you what we're going to be working on and talk about why we're doing this. So I was out on the trail near my house yesterday, and this was a picture I snapped. As I'm thinking about composition, when I'm out, I'm trying to train my brain to see interesting patterns of light and dark. And so as I was looking at the shadows through these trees, I thought, might make an interesting, I don't think it would make an interesting full painting, but it might make an interesting study. So that's what we're going to start tonight. We're going to see what we can do, how far we can get. You'll notice that the reference photo is cropped this way. The panel that it is proportion wise is 7:9, which is what I have here, or 9:7. So the proportions should be correct, but you notice then the way the photo was taken on my phone, I'm going to have to fill in kind of by imagination the top part of the painting. So we'll see how that goes, but that's one of the challenges we will have with this, excuse me, with this painting. But that being said, let's dive in and start getting to work. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to mute when I cough, but I'm battling the second cold in a row in the last month, and it just won't shake. It's not too bad. It sounds worse than it is, but it is just a pain. And when I start talking, of course, it irritates my throat, I guess, and I need to buy one of those things that twists, and there's a device that it's like a crank and it twists the painting, and that way you can make sure you get all the paint out of the tube. But we're going to just do that. All right, now let's see here. This will be interesting because I'm not sure how we're going to start this one, but let's go in and take a little bit of our mineral spirits, and we will dilute some of this brown here. So it's very, very thin because I don't want to breathe cancer into my lungs. I will close that back up. All right. So we'll start to, I think, draw in a rough sketch. So I'm going to put that up there because that's kind of where I'm estimating the top of the, whoops, sorry. There you go. That's the top where the top cuts out. So let's see. We'll just kind of draw perspective lines. Whoops, kind of like that. give us some sense of where. I'm actually going to move this tree kind of over here, and it should go all the way up. And we'll put some of this we'll imagine what this would be. This is the tree line in the background. Okay. I'm not sure exactly if this is the right way to do this, but that'll give us that. Idea of where things are. Those will go behind those. Okay, now what we want to do is look at this, a little bit of this paint, and we want to put in our shadows. And what makes this interesting is the shadows and this perspective line that goes back like this. So by emphasizing it here, I think that will make a stronger little study. And this will be, I'm just kind of making and what this should do is it should give us a framework, and it'll tell us what because we're doing very thin, and again we do thin, always thinner layers under thicker layers. So thick over thin, or thin under thick. And so that's why I used a little bit of mineral spirits. So in the background then here we need some and as we go back, it will be more and more covered. So this will be all shadow, more and more shadow as we go back. And up in here. This is the shadow of the snow. We'll bring the dark all the way down in here. So we'll bring a little bit of this. We'll darken our this will help us keep our darkest darks where they should be. Okay, these are our darkest darks, and then where else would the darkest darks be? Kind of in some of these trees. And this is what we're practicing in the composition course, or we're starting. This is the first week, but it's really understanding where like how to read and how to think in these different levels of. But as I've said many times, what's shocking is when you get your values right, it's amazing how much you don't have to do with the rest of your painting. So this, by doing it this way, it helps me to gauge whether I'm going the right direction in the painting. Now we need to go back to some of this because okay, I think we have a pretty good feel. We may put some trees in there, like in the near ground. Now, based on this drawing, I mean, this could be in the middle of spring. Like, we could come in with, grass colors. You wouldn't know this is a winter scene just from the way it's laid out right now. So, it's kind of interesting, but it works as a painting. You can kind of tell what it is or what's going on at least. So, let's look at, actually, I'm not going to rinse my brush. Going to, I like where this is. I'm gonna wipe my brush and I'm gonna step back, take a look, see what I see. I like this. What do you all think? Do you like it? All right. Typically then I would go to the back, start coming forward. But actually, maybe I will do that. Let me test something that I have. Can't remember how he did that, but I think it was a little red. Oh, that red is so strong. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put a little bit of this Galca gel out there. It's a medium. Just put a very, very little. It just makes this a little more smooth. What I'm going to do, this may not work at all, but we'll see. Putting this warm color here in the background. Bringing it down into the trees so that the sky color is okay. Now what we want to do is bring in our blue. Mix in our blue, a little bit of that color. What this does, and I will continue to refine this technique, but what it should do is give us some not only value variance in the sky, but it should give us some temperature variance. because there will be parts of the sky that are really cool. It's almost like a gradient. And this isn't exactly how this technique is supposed to work, but it will be a fine start. And the good thing is we can start to lay in some layers, which will give us more interest down the road. Now, speaking of interest down the road, I want to go in and I want to create the very darkest spots in the background. So I'm going to have to use my imagination because I don't really have that on the reference photo. I have the foot of those trees. But I don't really have Oh, yeah, that's true, Bob. I never thought of that right there on the hill. Yep, especially with the weather you've had, the sun kind of shining through on the... So, I'm doing the shadow. I really want to, like, the darkest shadow areas. I want to try to establish those. So we can get a feeling of, and I'll have to, some of these wait because it's mixing with the sky color, so I'll just have to play it by ear. But it gives us an idea of where we're going. At least that's what I tell myself. Okay, so All right, that kind of gives us an idea of where we're going. Now, what I want to do is mix this blue with this dark, kind of a purplish color. We'll put some magenta into it, but then we'll cut it with some green, because that's really magenta-y. All right. Now, let's put this. What we're doing is we're trying to put in the shadow of the snow in the background. Which will be right up against the shadow under the trees. But over here, because of the way we're composing this, the reference photo has trees all in here, but we're going to drop some of those trees out. So I want to put some brighter colors in there. So we will kind of be sparing with our snow color. Now, we want to put that in. Notice it's reading really dark on your screen, and it's pretty dark on mine as well. But that's just because it's right up against this really light color. But overall, we're getting some interesting shadows. Okay, makes sense. Now notice how this like kind of greenish sky looks okay. It doesn't look terrible, but it's going to allow us to go in and put blue on top of that, because it's easier to go lighter. Notice how when I came down here, now I couldn't put the dark back in because it's hard to go dark over light. But once I have the darks in, then I can, go lighter around them pretty easily. So I think what I want to do is just take some of this and kind of a blue. Let's take the blue in here. We'll cool this down. I don't even remember what we used this bright, for the sky. So we're taking almost the same color as the sky, and we'll put it in. And it may be too cool. I'm not sure. But let's see how it reads. Okay, that's reading really cool. So what I want to do is, and that's good for like the shadow right up against the, and here, the snow. But as we get closer to the sun over here, we're going to want more color, and we're going to want it really much more diffused. So we should take this. So it's kind of this grayish blue, but it's pretty. Let's see, is this the same? Oh. And I want just a tap of that red in there. Give it just that little bit of warmish. Okay. Nope. It's even lighter. Now as we come forward, then we're lightening this up significantly. Okay. All right, we have our lights in now. Let's go back here and see if we can put in more of our same color. All right. Okay, I'm going to turn this up just because it's easier for me to make even. Okay. Okay. Now, we need to go in with our lighter colors again. Let's see if we can bring in some if we can think, and I'm just deciding this now, I think what I want to do is keep these highlights and lowlights relatively muted in the foreground and bring the vibrancy and the difference in tone up really in the background to draw the viewer further into the painting. I want them to really look back here and to be like, and to be drawn in. So this kind of sun put back here, and I'll probably have to do this in another layer just because it's wet on wet right now, so it just mixes. But I think if we do that, then it makes all of this really much more interesting to me. And it actually does look like it could be a painting as opposed to just kind of a sketch for fun painting. How do y'all feel about this so far? Doing this just so that I get more of the kind of the feel of the snow being swept. It's a little softer. There. All right, let's see. Now, thinking oil painting, we may be almost to the end of. I was just saying to Bob earlier this afternoon, it reminds me of when I started with acrylics and I said, okay, now I've reached the limit of my capacity. I am feeling that. Fortunately, my capacity is increasing every day and quickly. But yeah. I wonder if we can go in and do another layer on the sky. Let's try it. Do you see how doing layers on the sky using some warmer colors then gives our excuse me, our sky more, is this cerulean? That what I'm looking for? I think it is, yes. Okay. It gives us more. Where's my other? Oh, I wonder if I left my other brushes downstairs. I need my other dagger brush, but I think it's downstairs. Okay, well, we'll just keep working with this one. I want to take this blue. I want that feeling, almost a nostalgic. So I almost want a hyper saturated like this blue right here on my palette, because I want a feeling of nostalgia almost when you see this painting, like it's the quote perfect winter day. That's what I want it to feel like. I'm gonna have to come back because I'm gonna have to do another layer of this, but every layer, some of these warm tones will show through, and what will be amazing is then it will give almost like a glowing, like almost like it's glowing in the sky, and it gives us atmospheric perspective. Because if it was too saturated, then the sky would pop all the way forward into the painting, and we don't really want that. Okay, so there we go. Now I wonder if I can reestablish my darks. I don't know that I can because of again, oils, but we'll try. See how this looks like it's popping out in front of this just because it's so much deeper in values. So I will have to wait because I do want all of this to recede into the background. But that could work actually. I'm just kind of playing around now with these. Trying to learn the oils, the limitations. now I'm just really, I'm just playing with the illusion, like learning how to play with it. Because I don't know, honestly. Purple, and we need a little yellow to D, but purple is the color you use for aspen trees in the shadows. I learned that years ago when I was painting Spearfish Falls. So you do a little purple. Then I'll have to come in and refine them, put highlights on them, put details, but as long as we get this block in pretty good, then I feel solid. I don't know what else to do, honestly, so we may wrap this one up pretty quick here because I need to kind of wait till this dries in order to be able to do much more. See how just putting a few marks on them makes them look more white already. At least you can tell what they are and where we're going with it. And I've used the same brush for all of these, I mean this entire painting so far. I haven't used any sort of dark or, detail brush or anything. Yeah, I think this makes a much more interesting painting. The way I'm very pleased with how we have um, composed this, which is one of the things that I am wanting to get better at, is composition. So that makes me very happy. Because this feels like we're kind of in the middle of the forest observing out, and that makes me happy. So we'll keep working on that. There we go. I don't want to keep belaboring this to death. but I think we're getting there. All right, I think we have reached the limits of my capacity. So, and I am pleased with this. I think this is actually going to make a really pretty little painting that I won't be sad with. And it gives the feeling, it's almost like, I want it to feel like if you just pan a little bit to the right, there's kids up on a hill sledding down. There's maybe a horse and sleigh around the corner. You just don't know. That's the feeling I want to get, and that I want to feel, or I want to create, and I feel like it is happening already in the painting. So once we add more color and detail to it, I would really say this is more the under painting, and now we need to come in. The next layer after this dries will be modeling, which will be the big color blocks, and then we'll come in with detail. So that's kind of the plan. Thanks so much, Bob G. I appreciate you stopping by to hang with me. Appreciate all of you who've stayed with me. Everyone's quiet tonight, but that is all right. I will wrap up these paints so I can return them to the freezer, because I don't know what's going on tomorrow, or if I will be able to. I don't know if I'm going to paint tomorrow, but isn't that a nifty little thing? I can just work right out of my thing here. Take this downstairs. You wipe this, or you just brush it on the bottom. There's a little grate in there, and you brush it back and forth to eliminate some of the paint that's in it. And then I'll go take some dishwashing detergent and coat this overnight, and then it comes right out pretty much. I mean, it's still the bristles are stained, but the actual loose paint and wet paint is extracted without a lot of paint thinner and other than these mineral spirits. Not a lot of toxic things going on. So let me bring you back to center here so that I can flip this around to say good night properly. I hope that you all have a great evening and a wonderful week. You can check out my art sale, as I said, on my website, but I'm posting all my paintings as normal on I don't like that, on Instagram. So this painting is, or this camera I don't know what I did. It's very, oh, there we go. Okay. I'm like, it is very orange. Okay, now let's try this. All right, well, I want to say thank you so much for joining me again in the studio. I'm excited about the next few months, the next year, and all that we are going to accomplish. I hope you are enjoying this transition process as I switch from acrylics to oil, learning some new things, and I thank you so much for joining me. Hope you all have a great evening and a good week, and I look forward to seeing you next time right here next Monday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Take care, everybody, and have a great week.